Do you want to know how to trade OTC stocks? OTCs were where I first found my niche and was able to turn myself from a consistently losing trader into a consistently profitable trader. In today's recap, I'm going to go over my trade on the ticker CLSI. This was a picture perfect OTC multi-day, multi-month breakout, and we're going to break down this trade. I'm John Papa, and this is Sublime Trades. So let's talk about this setup. This is a multi-day breakout, which means that we're breaking out over a previous high that was set generally within the last 20 days is what I'm looking for a multi-day breakout. And in this case, that breakout level was near a multi-month breakout level. So this is essentially a cup and handle multi-month breakout, with the handle part of the pattern being a multi-day breakout. Now, this is just ideal. For me, an OTC setup does not get better than this. So if you've watched any of my previous videos, you may have noticed that fundamentals and catalysts play a big part of some of my strategies. Well, in this case with OTCs, that's not a factor at all. With OTCs, I play purely on technical analysis. And this is probably part of why I found success with OTCs before finding success in listed stocks, because they are just in general easier to play. I don't need to pay attention to the fundamentals. For this specific trade, I know the name of the ticker was CLSI. I don't know what the company name is. I have no idea what sector they're in. I don't know their float. I don't know their outstanding share count. I don't know if they have warrants. I don't know if they had news. I don't believe they had news today. I think that this run was kicked off a few months ago with news. That's most likely the case. But I don't know. It really doesn't matter to me. All I'm looking at is price action and volume. I want to see specific technical setups on the charts, and I want to trade off of those certain key levels and the price action. So let's get into the chart. This is a 5-year daily chart. And as you can see, these dashed lines here are marking the years. And you can see for most of the past 5 years, the stock has done nothing. It's had no volume, and it's just gone sideways. Just dead. No reason to look at it. No interest from me in any trade during any of that time. So let's zoom into this year. So this is this year, and you can see in July, something happened. This is where I think they most likely had a news catalyst that started this move. And so you can see the stock, started moving up from a tenth of a penny here. It was a sub penny still, to about 1.5 cents on this move. And it's been moving. I wasn't paying attention to it during any of this time either. I really didn't see it until a few days ago. And before I get in too close on the action that's currently happening, here's that basic fundamental market structure that I talked about in the last video. That sideways Z, the lightning bolt, impulse move, a pullback with consolidation, and continuation of that initial impulse move. The fundamental basic structure of the market. Check out my trade recap on Yuma to see more about that fundamental structure. So I'm going to zoom in a little bit more here. So you can see here, actually let me zoom out a bit. You can see 4 days ago, this had pulled back to about one cent, and then it got massive volume here. I don't know if they put out news. They might have put out news or maybe did an SEC filing that day. Had massive volume, had more volume than it's ever had on this day. And it pushed up towards these highs that it had set back in August and early September. Early August, early September. It pushed up towards those highs, but it did not break out above them. And so this is what I'm looking for in my ideal setup. I'm looking for big volume, a big high range day, that ends up closing near multi-month levels. So in this case, this one, it didn't quite touch these levels, but it got pretty close. This day it closed, or this day the high was 0.0365, and the high back here in September was about 0.0395. So that came pretty close to breaking that high. And then again, it made that basic market structure Z-shaped, lightning bolt shaped move of an impulse move, a pullback with consolidation, and then continuation in the same direction. This structure right here, that's like my main thing that I always look for. And in this case, it being lined up with these multi-month levels makes it just that much better. So this is where I'm saying this was kind of a cup and handle. It's not, most cup and handles will have just a single U shape and then the handle, and then they'll go. This one kind of had this like double top here before making the handle, but if you just look at this whole section here from August when this high was set till 4 days ago as the cup, and then this pullback with a higher low as the handle, I want to get in on this breakout. And this is really ideal here where there's no overhead resistance. That's one of the reasons why these plays are so great. A lot of people have trouble buying these as they're breaking out to all-time highs. Not me. Like, I've got so much experience with these, and they just work so well that like I have no issue buying this at an all-time high, because at that point it has no resistance overhead, and I know that means it can just go way farther than it ever has before. And this is getting a little ahead of myself, but look at the size of this candle. We went from about 3 cents to nearly 9 cents. A 200% move. And that candle, price-wise, that's the biggest candle that this has ever put in. So I started looking at it. I wasn't too interested yet, as it still had multiple levels to break out, levels of resistance above it. So I really wanted to wait till more midday or afternoon to see if it could break through those levels in the morning and pull back and consolidate, give me some confirmation of this multi-month breakout. If you're enjoying this video, please smash that like button, hit subscribe for more content like this, follow me on Twitter at Sublime Trades. Now let's get into the intraday chart to see how I actually played this. So we're going to take a look at a 3-minute chart. So this is a 5-day 3-minute chart. You can see right here, this was 4 days ago. This was that big volume day that I was talking about, that up until that point had been the biggest volume day the stock has ever had. I didn't play it this day, but this is what I want to see. I want to see a big volume day, a big move, and then a pullback and consolidation over a few days. And then I want to play the breakout over that high. So in this case, like I say, I started watching this close to the open, right around here. I wasn't interested in playing it yet. I think I was looking at it before it even broke out over this high. And then remember, it's also got that multi-month resistance closer to the 4 cent level. So that's really the level that I wanted to see break and hold. And now there's generally a couple opportunities for trades on these breakouts. When you have a multi-day or multi-month breakout like this, you can buy that initial breakout if you want to make a quick trade on it for just that initial breakout move. Now for me, those tend to be a harder trade for me to take because of my patience and because of my wanting to capture bigger moves. I'm not really interested in just trading this for like 10 or 15 minutes to catch this move here. Now this was a great move from, if you're saying over this breakout level or even over that 4 cent break. From 4 cents we hit nearly 5.5 cents. Yeah, that did top out right there at 5.5 cents. So from 4 cents, it made a 1.5 cent move. That's, what is that, 30% gain in like 10 minutes? That is a really decent trade. It's just a little bit more of a quick move than what I'm looking for. Perhaps once I'm trading full time and have more time to devote to focusing on trading, I may try to start capturing more edges like that. But that's really not my ideal. So, what is my ideal trade on these breakouts? Um, it's actually waiting for the confirmation. So, what I want to see is I love to see a morning spike through the breakout level. Then I want to see the pullback off of that morning spike, come back and hold that breakout level. Now, it doesn't need to hold the breakout exactly, but I definitely want to see it start consolidating above the breakout level. And that's my cue that this is a confirmed breakout, and now I can enter. And so this is something where I may differ quite a bit from a lot of other day traders that I know. I'm actually gonna enter these trades in midday, and this is something that I found based on analyzing my stats. I found that my best breakout trades I entered sometime between 12 p.m. Eastern and 2 p.m. Eastern. So I get in during that consolidation of the confirmation of the breakout before the afternoon ramp. And so that's what I was looking for here. I wanted to enter after 12 p.m. and I wanted to see this holding that breakout level. And that's what it did. So we can see here, we made that initial morning spike. We pulled back right to 4 cents, held 4 cents perfectly here just before 11. It had a kind of a nice move up to about 4.8. That was like a 20% candle right there. Pulled back, tested that 4 cent level again, basically double bottomed at the breakout level. This is great confirmation. I think I was actually driving to work when this was happening. Otherwise, like somewhere right in here could have been a great place to get in. But it is still a little early for me. This was around 11:15. And like I say, according to my stats for my trades, these OTC multi-day breakouts work best for me when I get into the trade after 12 p.m. Eastern. So, again, I'm trying to wait for that 12 p.m. Eastern time. And so that's right here. This is 12 p.m. Eastern. And you can see that like the volume had really died off. The range had gotten really tight. I'm going to zoom out just a little bit so we can see this volume more. You can also see that from this spike where we reversed on the morning spike with the largest volume, and that's generally what happens at swing points, at pivot points, where you get a swing high, you're generally going to reverse that short-term trend on larger volume than what has been leading up to it. But so we've got that big volume at the high point, and then we've got decreasing volume. If I draw a line right here, you can see just this nice downward trend here on the volume all the way to this point. And that's what I want to see during consolidation. I also talked about this, I believe that was in that last trade recap on Yuma. I mentioned I want to see that decreasing volume during consolidation. That's another sign of confirmation for me that this initial trend is going to continue higher at the end of this consolidation area. So I like seeing this decreasing volume. I like this volume almost dying here and the range getting really tight. That's a really good sign for me. So this is, okay, I zoomed in on just today's chart. Okay, so this is that morning spike, the pullback, this consolidation. 12 p.m. is right here. That kind of signals like I'm ready to trade. I'm ready to get into this trade. But so I'm still kind of watching it. I wanted to see possibly if it was going to dip back to like this 4.3 level. And then I'm also starting to calculate my size. I'm going to say how much money do I want to risk? How much size do I want to take? Where do I want to risk off of? Do I want to risk off of this 4 cent level? Initially, when I was playing these for a long time, I was trading off of the low that was set on the pullback after the morning spike. But in this case, I was definitely willing to risk, to have a tighter risk. And so I went ahead and I decided to risk off of this low right here, the last low that had been set. which was right around 0.043. And so by the time that I had decided I want to risk there, I initially just wanted to risk $100 on this trade. And so I was looking, and based on where the bid and the ask were, I was looking at getting in around 0.046. So I was looking at buying about 40,000 shares. And now the bid was about 0.046 or 0.0465, and the ask at the time that I was like ready to take the trade was 0.048. And in this case, I wasn't ready to just swipe the offer. I was willing to put out an order on the bid and wait to see if I got filled. Now, luckily for me, somebody came down, they hit the bid with a big order, and now all of a sudden there was 50 or 55,000 shares sitting on the offer at 0.0455. And so I jumped on it. I just went ahead and I took 40,000 shares at 0.0455. I took the offer, and right as I bought that, more volume came in. You can see all of these 3 volume bars here. It was about 30,000 each, so I guess I was more than 1/3 of that volume. This initial volume bar must have been my buy, but that kind of caused other traders to come in. And so now we're on. The trade's going. I'm in my position. And my initial thoughts, based on how some OTC trades have been behaving on their second and third green days, I was considering swinging this trade. So I got that initial 40K. We made a nice move right up, and I was really looking for it to break this 0.047 high that had been set during midday. This was like the high during the consolidation. That was initially where I was thinking I would want my trigger to be to enter, but I was a little worried about this one. I didn't want to have to chase. I didn't know how big of a move it might make once it broke that level, and so that was why I made that initial entry there. But so right after I entered, we pretty much, within 10 minutes we had broken that level. And so I went ahead and I added another 25,000 shares at 0.048. So right here. Okay, that's funny. So looking at these volume bars, so most of that volume right here was mine also. Cuz that's 28,000 shares. So 25,000 of that was mine. Okay, that's really interesting. This was about 90,000 shares. 65,000 of which were my buys. I didn't notice that until just now. It worked out though. So as I'm editing this video, I noticed that I was wrong about the volume there. While I was recording the video, I was reading it wrong. Each of those 3 bars were about 300,000 shares of volume, which makes a lot more sense to me. That's what I saw, was that I made my initial entry, a lot of volume came in, much more than had been trading previously, and that I ended up only being a small part of that volume. Out of those 3 candles at 9 minutes, about 1 million shares traded. So I bought 65,000 shares, so I was about 6.5% of that overall volume for like that 10-minute period. So anyways, we're consolidating up here. And now at this point, I want to see this 4.7 level hold. On this add of the 25,000 shares, I was pretty much risking that 0.047 level. I think I was ready to sell into 0.0465. And there was a fairly large prop bid that came in when this happened. Someone had an order for like 600 to 700,000 shares at like 0.046 at this point now. And so now we get some more consolidation. Goes sideways. There's another big volume buyer here, about 62,000 shares. It doesn't really do much. It pops it up a little bit. I guess that was as we're breaking up through 5 cents, but we're still below the morning high. And so it's just consolidating. It's consolidating sideways. we hold that 0.048 level here. And then now we start getting the afternoon volume here right around 1:30. We start spiking up. And so this is where I do my first sell. And this is also something I've talked about in previous videos. I like to sell into high of day breaks because those high of day breaks bring in a lot of volume, and it makes it very easy to sell on the offer and get filled at decent prices. So I sold 10,000 shares here at 0.056. Right as we're just moving up and right when we break this 0.055 level. So I sell right there. And now from that point, we start consolidating sideways here. And I want to say that maybe another big prop bid came in, and that one that I mentioned earlier had moved his bid up higher. And so there was a little bit of protection, a big bid that I could sell into. And so as we're holding this level, just based on the level 2, and as we're holding this 0.056 level, I went ahead and I took another 55,000 shares. So I had 65,000 shares. I sold 10,000 here, so I was down to 55,000 shares. I doubled my position here at 0.05648 approximately, which gave me 110,000 shares now from about a 0.051 average. So about where this horizontal line was my average with 110,000 shares. So I added at 0.0565, and okay, what had happened was that big prop bid had moved up to 0.056, and so I was gonna risk 0.005. I was gonna risk 0.0005 cents on that 55,000 shares, because he was sitting there at 0.056 with over 600,000 shares. And so I was ready, just basically if the bid dropped down to his level, I wasn't even going to let him start getting chipped away. I was just going to sell that ad of 55,000 shares into that bid. But that didn't happen. We dropped as low as 0.0562. Yeah, that was the lowest that the bid got. And most likely it's people saw that big bid. That gives people some confidence that there's someone below them that's looking to buy a lot of shares. There's a lot of shares wanting to be bought, and so hopefully the price is going to go higher. And people are generally going to try to jump in front of that bid because they want to get filled, and they don't want to wait for that entire bid to get filled before they get filled. And so that big prop bid really helped me out here during this consolidation. Now I was getting pretty nervous though, with how long this consolidated, and because just adding at that high, that this was right near the high of day now, I really didn't have a great price on that ad compared to where I had initially gotten in. So as soon as we moved up out of this consolidation level, I started selling. I sold 10,000 at 0.0595. and 10,000 at 0.0599. So I wasn't sure if 6 was going to offer resistance. So I wanted to lighten up a little bit right before 6. But we kind of pushed right through 6, get up to about 0.0635 before we pull back, and then 6 holds here. And so that was a really good confirmation as we break through that. It's kind of a whole dollar, half dollar level, but in this case when we're talking about a true penny stock, it's really a whole penny, half penny level. So this whole penny level of 6 cents, I see that as an important mental level. And so we broke through it and we held it. And so that was a good sign. And so then we start moving up again. Again, as we break that high of day, I'm going to sell. And once again, you can see this big volume here as we're breaking through this previous high of day now. And so I'm selling into that. I'm almost always going to be selling into that increased volume on a high of day break. And so in this case, I sold another 10,000 shares at 0.068 right here. And now I've sold Oops, sorry, I skipped these two. Right as we're breaking through, I sold 10,000 at, let's see, 0.0635 and 0.0644. Right as we're breaking this 0.0635 high. And then I took off another 10,000 here. So this was pretty much that entire ad that I had right here. I kind of took it all off right here. I have my broker set to sell for tax purposes. I do last in, first out. So anytime I add, those shares are going to be the first ones that I sell when I start selling. So that I hold generally my best price will be my earliest shares. And this way I hold that core position through the entire trade. And so this is making a big move here. You know, we went up and we tried to test 7 right here. It pulled back and then it started getting more volatile. Like you can see all of these candles here have a lot bigger range than kind of anything that we've had since this little morning spike here. And so as we start going up, you know, we set a top here, or we set a high here at 0.074. And so as we come back up here, I'm looking for that to break. It just barely broke and starts pulling back, so I sold as we started pulling back there at 0.072. And then we get this kind of bigger sell-off here where we break down below these previous lows. And so I was a little worried there, like maybe that's it, maybe the top's in, and now we're going to fade off a bit. I'd still been considering swinging this because we are still holding near highs, and so that there's a good chance with how the market has been recently with OTCs that this stock may gap up, hold green red tomorrow, and have another morning spike. So there's this pullback and we hold this like 0.068 level, and then as we start grinding back up, I go ahead and put in my last sells. Kind of initially had them above this for a high of day break sell, but I lost a bit of confidence here on this price action, and so I lowered my sells to sell just below the high of day, and I ended up selling at 0.072 and 0.074. Unfortunately, it was on this massive volume and this big candle that goes from 7 cents to 8 cents, and then it continues up for like another 10 minutes and nearly hits 9 cents. So I left a bit on the table there, but overall I'm super happy with this trade. I made like $1,860. It was about a 33% gain, and you know, it was very stress-free. You know, I was in the money immediately. This trade never moved against me, which in general, my best trades will do that. They're not going to move against you if you have a good entry price and good timing on your entry. And in this case, it never really had big pullbacks. Like this was the biggest pullback it had, and that really wasn't much of a pullback. This really was making upward moves and then consolidating sideways and going up and sideways, up and sideways. So you really couldn't ask for much better than that. So that was my trade on CLSI, a picture-perfect OTC multi-day, multi-month breakout. Now I made $1,860 on this trade while only risking $100. That was a 18.6 risk-reward trade. You know, that's about as good as it gets for me. If you like this video, please smash that like button, hit subscribe for more content like this. Follow me on Twitter at Sublime Trades. Leave a comment, and I'll see you guys next time.